Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been a while since you've seen me publicly, at least. The patrons know I gave them a classic a couple of days ago. I initially did not expect to come back to the public streets this soon, but when I realized the streets needed me to help in this vote that is truly looming, I knew I had no other choice. You know, when you have all these people in the media, all these people part of old media, working in lockstep with one another, it really feels like marching orders were given out by black SUVs, possibly sponsored by production. I mean, let's be honest here, the way some of y'all are moving is a bit desperate. But in all seriousness though, coaches, what I have witnessed, we got Jag Baines coming out the woodwork talking about, Quinn's he's one of my winner picks, so he can't touch the block. Why do we care about that, Jag? You got Applebee's and her guy over here coming out of the woodwork. Of course, they're going to support that guy. We got people trying to push agendas 24/7, acting as if someone black hitting the block makes feeds more fun. How does it make feeds any more fun? You're not making any sense. Feeds only get more fun if the player that's the most egotistical, arrogant, and cocky is humbled and is shown that people don't really like him the way he thinks they like him. That is how you get great feeds, ladies and gentlemen. People are acting as if treading water equals entertainment value, because truth be told, a lot of these fans are clutching at their pearls over the idea that the player that they have some parasocial relationship with through the game could be in trouble this week. But that is what makes this week so compelling. So if you all will allow me, here on this America's Vote night, I am going to create one of the greatest arguments as to why all of you should have already voted for Quinn by now. All right, I gave y'all an extra 10 minutes to get it done. Get her done. But in this rant, we're going to explain why. All roads point to Quinn hitting that block here exclusively on RBR, where the real stars are.
I have been a fan of this show, of this man, since I heard him speak. Since I saw him break down these games from a black, not just from a black male perspective, but also from a gamer. Like he's it's like he's played the game many times before.
You know what it is. It's time. To get Quinn. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame, 20 years versus 20 days. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave, and we are here to break down this game. BB26 Week 3 has been fireworks. All I see is fireworks, taking off like fireworks. You feel it, dig me? Our brother Cedric came through, brought balance back to society, entertained ideas he knew were ludicrous, shoutouts to disturbing the peace, and people are trying to create the narrative that he's somehow bad at the game for making the right read. The same people that clearly didn't want Cedric to backdoor Quinn, if now they're trying to protect Quinn so hard, they're the same fans now, acting as if someone that Cedric is aligned to more than Quinn should touch the block over Quinn, which further showcases no one gives black people credit when they have the backs and are inclusive to non-black people. In fact, they would rather see us crash out, play poorly when the votes aren't there, so the narrative can be that we're as stupid as they think we are already. That's what makes all of this so toxic. So if you allow me to tell this story in the 16th rant of the season, entitled Let the Chips Fall, you're gonna see that a lot of these dominoes currently being placed by certain players. I mean, when Jag is gonna be on an episode next week, it really does create some conflict of interest to why he's pushing his own opinion so hard before he even arrives on TV. Then we're just gonna expect him to be impartial once he's on television? Let's be honest here. We're not dumb, and I know you all are the smartest within this overall community, and that's why I teach these AP courses. But let's be honest here. Cedric, entertain the idea of working with Tucker and Kenny. All week, I praise Cedric for realizing that this is smart. If Chelsie can do it with the ladies when she had more game incentive to nominate MJ and burn that twist first, more incentive to throw up Leah because she was jealous of the Cam-Leah dynamic, then Cedric has even more of a reason to play it safe because he has less game incentive because the vote prior to him winning HOH was less split of a vote. It was more of a unanimous vote, meaning Cedric had to reach and stretch for a reason to target certain players under his reign juxtaposed to Chelsea's. I want to state that so people can see early on I'm no hypocrite here. I see the subtleties. But with that said, I applauded Tucker for realizing what needed to be done, for realizing Quinn was the overarching threat because all the women coddle him. Everyone acts like you can, as long as you're a dork, you can have an overpowered twist and you're not the biggest threat. It makes no sense whatsoever. Let any of these brothers have this overpowered twist, they'd be already on the block. I'm just keeping it real in these streets. But with that said, let's just be honest for a second, Tucker, because everyone online, and listen, to a certain extent, you deserve your props. Very entertaining. I am in no way biased here. I'm sad that two kings got to fight amongst themselves in this moment. But you got to understand, the real issue, and this is the problem I have because production didn't show us any of this context in the edit. So they're setting up Cedric to look like he somehow didn't give Tucker more than one reason or more than one opportunity to pull out of this plan. Cedric warned Tucker prior to the veto ceremony, bro, you need to use the veto on yourself. If you do not, we don't have the votes. Trust me, use it on yourself. Tucker was the one who brushed Cedric off. You don't brush off the current HOH when all week you're trying to push them to play your game, knowing if it blows up in everyone's face, it's going to be all on Cedric at the end of the day because he's the one backstabbing an entire alliance. Meanwhile, Tucker, he can just go to, oh, that was Cedric's idea. He was the HOH. It was his choice. See, Tucker wants to play this game of you're the scared player, I'm not scared. But from where I stand and from where a lot of black fans stand here, Tucker, and once again, this isn't me coming at you as a human being, but the way you had all this animus towards Cedric over a great game move he made, but then all you do is show Quinn all the respect in the world in a meeting we'll see tomorrow night. I mean, the way you don't keep that same energy with certain players is very telling to us. See, it's deeper than just him not going off on Kenny. I'm not mad at that. Kenny's an older man. Kenny is also from Boston. Tucker's more butthurt over the idea that Kenny's more loyal to Cedric post all of this. But ask yourself, why is Kenny more loyal to Cedric after all of this? It's because Kenny also knew that Cedric warned you to use the veto on yourself. But here's my point, Tucker. If you want to create the narrative, you're this fearless player, you're this Jon Snow, Azor Ahai type complex, right? Why did you need to use veto on Angela? Why did you feel the need to leave Kenny on the block? If you're trying to create the narrative that you and Kenny are serious about this four-person's alliance with Cam and with Cedric, wouldn't the smartest thing to do to prove it's real is to use veto on Kenny in that moment to at least get him off the block, considering all the women all week on feeds were after Kenny the most? Angela was the most safe nominee this week. Sure, there was a time where if Tucker was on the block next to Angela, Angela would have still left, but that was prior to Tucker pushing this my way or the highway scenario. Let's keep it real. Tucker was very abrasive this week. Tucker lacked the ability to bend when he didn't get his way this week. Tucker made the mistakes of a rookie. But because he doesn't look like Cedric and Cam, people spin it as no matter how toxic he is, no matter how disrespectful he is towards another player, it is somehow not as bad as Jarrett. Reminds me of Cameron, how he got away with a lot and everyone made it seem like, oh, it's convenient that we love him, even though he did worse than Jared did that season if you really do your research. But in all seriousness, though, let's just be honest with ourselves, Tucker. You showcased a lot of lemon booty because here's my theory. This is what I really think was going on in Tucker's mind. You didn't use the veto on Angela because you believed you and Kenny could ice Quinn out in AI Arena. You used veto on Angela because you knew in case you failed, you had a parachute in Kenny to get the votes to stay over. But you were concerned you wouldn't have the votes next to Angela because all the men were aware of the women's alliance that was created a week prior. But no one's talking about this online because it doesn't fit the narrative that Cedric is smart and Tucker is foolish for using a veto on a lady a week after a ladies' alliance was created. Does that sound like genius gameplay to you? Doesn't sound like it to me. But once again, people speak as if Tucker can do no wrong. And yet I've already brought up multiple mistakes he's made so far. He refused to listen to the HOH warning and tries to craft the narrative that Cedric never said that to him. That way he can act like Cedric's this massive liar. But here's the thing, Coach. Let's do the numbers. What votes would there have been to vote out Quinn had Cedric just gone rogue against an 8-person alliance to get Quinn thrown up? The only votes that could have possibly been there is Angela, possibly Cam, and one of Kenny or Tucker that came off. That would be 3 votes out of a possible 11 this week. And people are still trying to convince me that would be smart gameplay for Cedric to do. To take a shot with a 0% success rate. This goes back to my point that a lot of fans want to see our representatives just play badly. They don't necessarily want fun feeds or for everyone to play their best game to force everyone to play better. This is why you won't even hear me talk like I want Tucker gone next week. I still want Tucker in the game for the same reasons I wanted Matt to stay. But I'm also someone who can tell when you're picking on someone because they're younger than you. I can tell when you're picking on someone because deep down you don't know what else to do. And let's just keep it real. You want to avoid the shame of the narrative that suggests you were the fool who didn't play veto on yourself. You could easily by tomorrow night be looked at as the new Marcellus. But no one's going to say it that way. They're going to just portray it as if Cedric abandoned you. But up until this week when Cedric won the HOH, what did Tucker do to get close to Cedric? Real talk, how many alliances did they even have together? I can't think of any real ones. Let's just keep it real. Tucker was closer to Cam based off the have-not thing than he ever was to Cedric. He was closer to Kenny based off the Boston connection than he ever really was to Cedric. And he's always been more so positioned towards the anti-Matt side, which for 1 week was on the same side with the collective 8. But let's just be honest, there's clearly lines drawn. And this is why I don't agree with the narrative that Cedric made some mistake here. So in the last public rant where I left you off at was Sunday. I was excited about this back door. Of course, after tonight's episode, now you all have seen that a lot has changed. My issue is production didn't show enough context to show that Tucker is no victim here. Cedric did everything he could to look out for Tucker's overall best interest while looking out for Cedric's best interest, because that's all you can ask of an HOH. Only because Tucker didn't want to adhere to the warning and went with his own decisions, now all of a sudden is it all Cedric's fault. But once again, if you would have played smarter in that scenario, knowing that you are a massive threat after AI Arena, now you have won a veto, you're positioning yourself now to be this Heisem type figure. I've already seen Cedric and T-Kor discuss the opportunity of possibly voting you out this week. Now, Cedric don't have a vote, but it's just the idea that T-Kor is considering it if Kenny comes off due to AI Arena. But this is where I want to start my argument as to why Quinn is the only no-brainer choice for us as fans to vote in as America. Think about this. If Tucker did all of this just to face off against Quinn, we got to give him what he wants. Based off those feeds, though, Tucker, it feels like, and based off the way all you did was show Quinn respect, ever since this America vote thing has been out in the open, it feels as if you are terrified of that matchup and you're trying to position other people ahead of Quinn because you don't really want to lose to him. That's what it feels like to me, right? Why else would you get into an argument with Cedric over a lie that you know is not a lie? You only get into the fight with him in front of Chelsie and Cam. That way, when everyone comes around, you can label them the 3 C's. Sounds like production interference to me. Then this happens to be coincidentally the same week that all of a sudden Quinn now sees Kenny as a cop. Then this happens to be the same week now where production tells Kenny he can no longer use I want to quit as a strategy or else they'll kick him out. So as production limits the game of others, they are literally propping up and giving a platform to people who will show up on their show to pander to Quinn's fan base. But at least I'll give production this credit. This edit was fair. really felt like they did a great job of positioning Quinn as the arrogant, egotistical player he has been, right? So that is where I'm at least okay with production on. I don't feel like y'all chose a side in this edit like you could have. And I think because so much popped off post-veto ceremony, it's also a good thing for the people voting for Quinn because we don't get to see all the added drama that would be brought into the context of the vote for the casuals. So this is the perfect scenario, in my opinion, where fans should choose Quinn. Now, let's talk about why we shouldn't choose others before we get into the real reasons why we have to choose Quinn. Because everyone wants to play selectively stupid about a lot of stuff here. All right. Number one, let's go down the board, right? Let's look at every player in the game and let's look at their games and look at why they shouldn't be thrown up over Quinn. Kimo, let's keep it real. While we all can see tonight that it was his fault why we got down this path, I don't think Kimo should be put in this position necessarily. Mainly because he's already had to fight his way out of an AI arena. None of us really believe he has a shot this time around of really icing out a Tucker. We shouldn't want a scenario where Tucker necessarily leaves because Tucker's actually trying to make feeds interesting. We should want a player thrown up that keeps feeds absolutely boring, and that's where fans could create the argument Kimo and T-Kor are great selections here. But for now, I think Kimo has done enough strategically, has been responsible for enough chaos mentally and emotionally to the point where I don't think he deserves to be any sacrificial lamb. T-Kor, she is now finally starting to realize that she needs these players more. She's starting to trust Kimo less, but yesterday on feed, she said she only wanted a woman or Kimo to win. That type of habitual line stepping is exactly why I said she's confusing to me, and she's the type of player who I don't think will ever control a mastermind move. So I could see why people would want a boring player like that throw up, but once again, if people are creating an argument, it has to be someone like Chelsie or Cam. I must ask the question once again, how does that make the game more interesting? I don't see it. Cam's already a target of multiple people. You're just going to make him an even bigger target when he's already won? What about the people who are targets but have overpowered twists that allows them to play on easy mode? Those are the players y'all would rather protect because they could be interesting later? Well, the same thing can apply for Chelsie and Cam. Y'all just selectively forget that when it comes to certain players, huh? Now, let's move on to Joseph, a player who should feel very nervous about this vote. He talks a big game, panders a lot, and now this week on feeds, he's come out the woodwork saying, oh, I got a crush on Chelsie. Where did this come from, coach? That feels like 100% you're trying to pander to the black audience, hoping they don't vote for you this week. And let's just be honest, based off what I've seen on feeds, this is straight cap, because out of all of those players that accompany the 3Cs, Joseph appears to be less trustworthy towards Chelsie because she covered up the Women's Alliance existence until Cedric won the HOH. I remember the one-on-one Joseph had with Quinn. Both of them said, we trust Cedric more than we trust Chelsie, and it's because of the girls' alliance. They are very concerned about that, and that is what Joseph used to get close to Tucker in the first place. And this is why fans turned on him, and this is why I believe he's grifting by acting like he likes Chelsie now. So that needs to be stated too, alright? Cam, outside of the fact that this is a guy pursuing a showmance, and outside of the fact that he has made some mistakes this week, which I have pointed out on Patreon, they know. Outside of those two things, I don't see what Cam has done to be this entertaining person to throw in. Feels like to me, people want to throw Tucker an opportunity to literally derail the games of everyone black at the same time by throwing him red meat. But once again, Cam took Tucker's side, it felt like to me, all weekend. Once Tucker lost his head and went off on Cedric, called him a little boy, called him a little B-word, said a lot of wild stuff. I'm hearing Leah said some wild stuff. I'm hearing someone has said the R-word. I don't know who actually said it, but I think it's very interesting how the fans who know who said it, they don't have the same pitchforks out to get them taken out the game. Once again, showcasing the double standard if you remember 25. But in all seriousness though, I don't see how Cam hitting the block, I don't see how that changes any dynamic. That just allows Quinn to squirm back into his hole. If it's a puzzle, we don't even know if Cam's good at puzzles, so we don't even know if Cam's going to win it. It literally is just people wanting a scenario where someone black could go home during a black HOH week. Let's keep it real there. Angela, she's off the block now, she can't go up. Chelsie, same thing towards the Cam thing. I don't agree with the way Chelsie acts. I don't agree with some of the stuff she does towards Cam, involving his clothes, involving his shoes and socks. But I'm on code to the point where I'm not going to fixate on none of that now, because I'm not going to give red meat out to the people who want to let Quinn off the hook. Let's keep it real. While Chelsie has made mistakes, she still is in a fantastic position right now, and it would truly be an L for people to act as if a player that was downgraded week 1 should be the player America throws up now. That would be a travesty, and it once again showcases they would rather see us in the Stone Age 2 out of the first 3 weeks of this game than see one of their dork faves be in some level of hard difficulty for one day. Am I lying yet? No, I'm not. And that's why people get uncomfortable when I tell the truth to you straight like that. All right? Now, Kenny, he's already on the block. Brooklyn, in my opinion, playing the best game in the game, right? In my opinion, throwing her up, she would never get voted out in any circumstance, whether she's next to Kenny or whether she's next to Tucker. So it's a complete waste throwing her up in the first place, right? This is why I'm creating the argument Quinn is the perfect person, because I could see people changing their mind towards keeping Kenny if Tucker won the comp, if Quinn is sitting there with an overpowered twist. I could see a lot of people when Julie's like, you have a few minutes to talk to people in rooms and pitch yourself. I could see so many people saying, I need to pinch myself. Let's get in this room and send this boy to the shadow realm. Let's stump him out, coach. And right now, I feel like America might have some steel toe boots on. You just might get stumped out in that wrestling room. But with that said, I just don't see why throwing up Brooklyn makes any sense. Leah, she is someone who I feel like some fans might want to throw up. But once again, if I don't think Cam should be thrown up for his actions, then I got to create the argument Leah should be thrown up 4 times as much. But with that said, what does throwing up Leah do for us now? Nothing. Also, keep in mind the dynamic of a player realizing they are disliked by America. The people that people are suggesting should go up aren't necessarily, well, Chelsie to a degree does think she's loved. That is a good argument for her. But let's talk about it. Quinn thinks we absolutely love him. And what makes him toxic is he thought scapegoating Angela as the most anti-black player in the cast when he this whole time had those thoughts. He thinks that somehow makes him a player America loves. If you're an American who doesn't agree with those narratives, you should want to vote for this guy. And please, ladies and gentlemen, please go to cbs.com/BB vote and get them votes in. I want to remind y'all throughout this rant. I want to remind y'all all the way at the end, but I also want to give y'all the rant y'all deserve. All right. All right, vote for Quinn, all right? There's only one thing you should do, and that's vote for Quinn. Americans, we finna come together like Voltron. Y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know. I'm saying, man.
God bless America and no place else.
That's what I'm gonna say tomorrow night as long as y'all throw Quinn up there. You fella damn me go. But in all seriousness, though, sorry about that chewing on the ice thing. I know some people can't stand it when they hear chewing noises. My apologies. I thought I was just drinking water. But in all seriousness, though, Quinn, you're the one who needs to hit that block. You need to be humbled and shown that we won't tolerate this in the new era of this game, the same Stone Age practices of the players you looked up to from yesteryear. Number 2, it would change a lot of people in this house's approach towards coddling Quinn if they known how much he was disliked while having a twist like that. It would really mind warp a lot of players into believing, wait a minute, maybe I've been on the wrong side of the game this whole time. Maybe I need to pivot. Maybe I need to flip. If you throw up someone black, all that's going to do is tell people to bring the Stone Age back quicker. And that's why I look at a lot of y'all real funny that want Cam or Chelsie up. Because it feels like y'all want the Stone Age here, not the game we enjoyed week 1 or week 3. If you want the Stone Age here, feeds ain't gonna be fun, because now all the tones and all the storylines and narratives online are gonna be more serious. And we know a lot of y'all ain't built for those serious conversations. A lot of y'all are only built to pander. So I would highly advise y'all to speak against the narrative of any scenario that makes y'all uncomfortable, because we know y'all are grifters. So Quinn is the ideal selection. That's just the truth of the matter. The problem is, a lot of y'all don't want to see him humbled, because once he gets humbled, you got to come to the agreement, the assessment, and the acceptance that these archetypes are the toxic ones, not the ones y'all label as toxic, because y'all are too much of a coward to keep it real. Next, let's get into Rubina. In my opinion, Rubina touching the block also doesn't make much sense unless you just don't like Tucker. If you don't like Tucker, and if you want to mind warp him in some way to possibly sacrifice his game, that's the only way I see nominating Rubina making any sense. But once again, just because I'm on Cedric's side doesn't mean I'm rooting against Tucker tomorrow night. I still want Tucker to fulfill the prophecy. I still want him there. I want Quinn to walk up. I want it to be like Kaku at Enos Lobby when Zolo showed up. And I want them to scrap. That's what I want to see. And at the end of the day, isn't this what AI Arena was built for? To have some heavyweight matchup? How can all these fans say Cam is so bad at the game, but then through the other side of your mouth act like Cam versus Tucker is a heavyweight matchup? Wait a minute. How can you give the brother no credit all season, then act like he's a heavyweight? See my point? We're only a heavyweight when it's time to screw us over. You need to justify that. But Quinn, the one y'all been overrating and overlooking all his mistakes, he's been Matt 2.0. The only difference is he don't have the Matt disposition. So because he doesn't have the Matt disposition, he doesn't get treated like Matt gets treated. But that's also why the casuals liked Matt but didn't like this guy. Because they can see the double standard. And this is where I think some people in old media are a bit outdated with their talking points. See, they still think we in the Stone Age completely, where they can just lie. And since we can't rewind and there's no flashback, they definitely think we can't prove they telling a lie. But there's enough people that have figured out ways around all of this. There's people who are recording feeds all day just to get a clip. If y'all tell a lie, we gon' know it's a lie. And so far, Quinn has made enough mistakes to justify this move. He's been far more arrogant than any player in the game to justify this move. And I find it so funny how now all of a sudden, when the dork's the most arrogant, you know what the number one excuse is for why we shouldn't throw him up? Y'all love Tucker, though. Y'all love guys like that. How come you don't like Quinn? The reason why we like Tucker is because Tucker is interesting. Tucker's entertaining. And Tucker doesn't hide like Schmeagol in Lord of the Rings. He doesn't hide in the corner. My precious! Every time he sees Leah with Cam. See, that's not what he's doing. That's the facts. But once again, we're supposed to act like that's cool too. For men to look this weak on national TV while acting arrogant in the process? Nah. And keep in mind, this is another reason why they want other people thrown up over Quinn, because they want Quinn to get the girl, because then that'll motivate some of these fans and they could get the girl too. Ain't nobody knocking you, but this parasocial relationship some of y'all got with players is a bit unhealthy, coach. And this is coming from a guy who will go to battle to defend somebody black. But even I know that every black player ain't playing well this season, so I've covered the game accordingly. Shoot, some of y'all more blindly on code than I am. In the other way. But in all seriousness, though, let's just be honest. There is nobody to vote in other than Quinn that makes this game more interesting. Because voting in Quinn, whether he goes home or not, it forces Quinn to play harder. And it forces his game to center stage. Brooklyn's game is already to a degree center stage because the men view her as the one running the women's alliance. But now that you have this moment in which Cedric knew he didn't have the votes to backdoor Quinn, I think this is the best of both worlds for us as fans, especially if you understand the game enough to know Cedric made the better move. If this America's veto can still throw up Quinn and Cedric cannot betray his majority alliance in the process of still getting Quinn up, so Quinn, even if he comes back, never aims that twist towards Cedric, to me, that is a masterclass. And there's a chance Cedric could find a way to burn both twists this week without backdooring Quinn himself. This is some of the best gameplay I've ever seen. But because Cedric is our guy, they act like he ain't playing like a dog right now. He's playing like a dog. Cedric weighed out the pros and the cons, and he realized that it made 0 sense for him to play Tucker's game. Let's be honest. If he plays Tucker's game, the narrative is he's still a scared player because he wasn't playing his. He needed somebody else's ideas. But the edit tonight proved to us all Cedric was never buying anything he was being sold because Kenny and Tucker wanted to use Vito on Angela, which proves my point. You would have made more sense to Cedric had y'all have made the plan to use Vito at least on yourself or on Kenny. If Tucker would have used it on Kenny, that would have made sense. That would have resonated with a player like Cedric. Okay, I can trust you. But if you're willing to leave a member of this 4-person alliance on the block next to you, when you're supposed to have all this confidence to take down Quinn, that tells me you're not that confident. That tells me you wanted a backup plan to stay no matter what, which explains and justifies why Kenny trusts Cedric now more than Tucker. Because if I'm your ally, and if you win Vito, and you're more equipped to win AI Arena, and you use Vito on Angela, when you know a woman's alliance exists, that is some of the most incompetence I have ever seen. But once again, you have to see it for yourself, because all things aren't what they seem. And what the media, more specifically old media, wants to do is convince you that there is not more to the game than what they tell you. When the truth is, a lot of these people have a reason to withhold certain information from you, because then you'd vote for Quinn as well. But you got to ask yourself, though, what do all these alumni, what dog do they have in this race? Why is it any of their business? Their season was boring. Why do they want to make another season boring with their thoughts? I don't understand it. And part of me blames the interviewers last season because they didn't hold Jag accountable for the comments he made towards Felicia and Cerise, so now he think he can pop back out, huh? And he think he can just talk like his opinion matters. This is what happens when you don't hold accountable certain entities like you do the black dude. Notice Xavier's not part of that, but they found a way to find Cody from 22. I'm just trying to get y'all to see that it's very convenient what's going on. I know what people are going to say, well, Xavier has a show on another network, so they don't want to give him any shine, and blah, 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 blah. That's nonsense. He's the first ever black man to win their show. They could have brought him on. Let's keep it real. They could have. They just didn't need him, because in their minds, who cares about brothers? Especially when so many people are just trying to make the brother the vote. So you just got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, I think this week was a W. The Alliance wanted our boy Cedric to throw up Makensy to burn her twist. He did it. After he had his altercation, if you want to call it that, I watched what happened. Listen, Tucker is just trying to drag Cedric into the abyss because he now knows his game is in the abyss because Cedric didn't play his game. If Cedric would have played his game and it would have worked, Tucker would have got all the credit by old media. Let's just keep it real. All credit would have gone to Tucker because he would have had to win the AI Arena. So Cedric would have taken all the risk and got none of the credit. In what world is that worth doing? Right? But this same old media wants you to believe that Quinn getting an overpowered twist and taking no risk to get it is not the one that we need to humble now. Are you noticing how a specific archetype is the ones they want to keep on easy mode? And then when they make mistakes, they justify them, but then they act as if Cedric somehow had a bad HOH week, when, from where I stand, he managed to out both twists before week 4. He's managed to turn Tucker and MJ into easy targets of the collective 8. I mean, I think he's done a fantastic job. As long as a member of collective wins the next HOH after him, Cedric gets to slide on by. Now the question is, will a lot of these players gun for it? Because once Kenny is possibly gone, I think a lot of these ladies may throw. And that's where the game can get more techie. But for now, I think it's important to just keep driving the point home that Quinn has to be the one to sit his butt on the block. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on my way to the live chat. I want to hear your thoughts on this week. Please don't forget to smash that like button. This was me giving y'all a true freestyle breakdown on why it just makes the most sense to throw up Quinn here. At the end of the day, Quinn going up has the most upside to the game. Him going up forces him to change the egotistical way he gives his confessionals. Throwing up him may force him to want to change the people he really wants to work with. It may wake him up to, the world doesn't like how you're turning on Pentagon, have their backs. You never know. You never know. And from where I stand, Pentagon has never done anything wrong by Quinn. Quinn was the one withholding his twist specifically only from the black people in Pentagon. And T-Kor. Matter of fact, Quinn selectively held his twist back from everybody black. So the way I see it, dog, for the betterment of the future of this game, I think all fans benefit from seeing Quinn humbled. It's the fans that deep down want the Stone Age brought back that don't want to see him humbled. Because once he gets humbled, less people will play the way Quinn plays. And if less people play like that, it lowers the chance of us ever giving another BB15. And if you in any way think that's a problem, that says more about you being the problem than anything else. Ooh, we're cooking. We're cooking, all right? So you just got to understand that, ladies and gentlemen. Ain't no way around this. Tucker, I believe deep down, he never fathomed a scenario where Kenny would trust Cedric more than him. But if he just plays that veto on Kenny, I truly believe Kenny has his back the rest of the game. Also, keep in mind, Kenny has touched a block every week of this game, and Tucker still didn't use veto on him. If I'm Kenny, I would have a screw you mentality too. Because it shows a certain level of you don't care about me to not want me off the block. Now, last week he won veto himself, Kenny. But this week, if you're just going to stay on the block anyway, take me off, bro. Take me off. What are we doing? Oh, I'm going to take off Angela so us two can jump Quinn. Tucker, I thought you were this world beater, bro. Now you need help? Huh? I thought you was Roman Reigns. Now you Solo Sikoa? What are we doing here? Think about it. Think about it. One guy is talking like he's the tribal chief, but then he wants backup like he ain't the tribal chief. Things that make you say, all right? So what you got to understand is Tucker thinks his move of trying to rattle Cedric has the house now on his side. But Brooklyn, she's the player I love to watch for the most. If she gives her word to a player, that usually is going to be the mission statement of the collective. Brooklyn told Cedric to his face, we got you. The way Tucker talked to you was not cool. The way you kept your composure through all of that, we appreciate you for, because you stood tall for us. How many times have we seen a fight and we see a player get rattled in that fight and they start bringing other people into the fight, but in doing so, they expose their game? Cedric didn't do that. Cedric just stood on his square and he defended his integrity as a player. And by doing that, his alliance sees, I can rock with this guy. Because under pressure, when the rubber meets the road, he gonna protect me. He ain't gonna fold like origami. And see, that is the narrative that I want y'all to take home with, that debunks the narrative Tucker will want the masses to believe. Because the truth is, Tucker, you thought your alliance with Cedric this week was Cedric's first alliance of the season. That's how much in the dark you are about Cedric's game. And it further shows you don't really know what was in Cedric's best interest. Hell, you didn't even know what was in Kenny's best interest because you didn't use veto on him. But I rest my case. All right, so I mean, listen, man, I had to state the truth, bro. There's a lot of people that's lying to y'all right now. But see, I expect more of you because I know y'all are smarter than that. So what you're not going to get from me is just blatant lies because I want to see a certain outcome because I like the Stone Age. You're not going to see that from me. I'm Mr. Stop the Stone Age. You know what I mean? But now I'm on my way to the Batcave. Now I want to hear your thoughts on the game, ladies and gentlemen. I know y'all didn't really get to see the entire fight. You all will see the continued version of it tomorrow night. But all you really need to know is Cedric had a meeting with the Pentagon prior to that veto ceremony. This is another thing that was hidden from us in the episode. He hashed everything out, let people know what the plan was, and that's exactly why Quinn had those faces during everything, because everyone in the group knew Tucker was going to use veto on Angela. Everyone knew it. Truth is, if Cedric really only cared about how he would look, he wouldn't have warned you at all, Tucker, because that would have coincided and had alignment with the narrative he told his alliance about you taking off Angela. If you would have heeded his warning, took yourself off, then the alliance maybe would have thought Cedric was lying all along about a lot of stuff. But because you were so arrogant and you were so, let's just be honest, I mean, dismissive of Cedric's perspective when he clearly knows where the numbers are more than you do, this is exactly why that group trusts Cedric now more than ever. So listen, some people like MJ going to entertain with Tucker Sullivan. That's because MJ just lost her twist too. Misery loves company, coach. But outside of that, let's be honest. MJ doesn't have any real pull strategically right now. Yeah, she has decent relationships with certain women, but let the right person within that collective group win HOH, all the women gonna throw MJ right under that bus. Chelsie has already begun doing it. Leah and MJ got a rivalry brewing that hasn't been shown on TV yet, but it's brewing. They're really growing tired of each other. Feels like Leah thinks MJ's a thirst trap. That's ironic because that's all Leah's game is, if you really think of it. So it's like, okay. So you got Chelsie hating Leah for the same thing as Leia's now hating MJ for, when Leia's 4 times the problem in that thirst trap lane. I don't know what to tell you, coaches. All right, but that pretty much has summed up what's going on in this game, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Cedric entertained a men's alliance. Everyone says they can't stand men's alliances. Then Cedric flips on the men's alliance. And you know what all these people who can't stand men's alliance, you know what their reaction to that was? One of Cedric's allies should touch the block now. Huh? He did what y'all would have wanted him to do, and now y'all want him to pay for it? What kind of continuity is that, coach? It makes no sense. But this is exactly why the Rant God is here to bring balance back to civilization. All right. Hold on. Oh, snap. That ad was about to play, coach. I can't have that. Don't forget to smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hope y'all enjoying yourselves tonight. All right. We're going to scroll from the top to the bottom. There's a lot of comments tonight. Oh, y'all lit in here. Y'all super lit in here. People are telling me to preach. They said no lies told. Juan says Cedric played well to get rid of both twists. This is what I'm saying. Let Tucker have had this type of an HOH and got rid of both twists. No one would say he had a bad week. No one. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to see, man. There's something afoot here that don't pass the smell test. It just doesn't. And I think a lot of people are exposing the fact that they would be terrible players at the game if they're saying Cedric somehow didn't play well this week with HOH. I think they're tweaking. Right? If Cedric was going to burn MJ's twist, he was always going to have to nominate at least 4 people. So I don't, or I mean, at least 5 people, pardon me. So I don't know. And, you know, because people are saying, well, why did Cedric not throw up MJ or T-Kor initially? Well, he couldn't throw up T-Kor initially for obvious reasons. And he also couldn't throw up MJ because she would have had the chance to win veto and preserve her twist next week. The whole purpose of burning her twist is to backdoor so she has no choice but to burn it. You throw her up initially, now you give her 2 chances at safety, and you give her almost a guarantee to make jury as long as she somehow survives week 5. You know, that's just dumb gameplay. Once again, Cedric did the best with what he was given. He threw up players who he has good relationships with for the betterment of the overall group of the collective. And if Angela had not thrown that group under the bus to get even with Matt during that first fight, Angela probably avoids the block. She's probably part of that 9, but now she isn't because they can't trust her because she was a loose cannon. That's why she's on her own. But when Angela goes up to Cedric and tells him he had this golden apple and he squandered the opportunity to take a bite at it, Angela, where are the votes for this golden apple? Cedric can't just be in a dynamic where he just creates lies to a degree about a guy and turns him into the house target. Cedric can't do that to Quinn. And let's be real, the dynamic will never look the same. The dynamic of a 50-year-old woman calling a guy like Matt threatening and aggressive is a cheat code that the Angelas of this world can use that I'm sorry Cedric cannot use towards a dork like Quinn. Let's be honest here. There are ways that Cedric had to play it straight that Angela just didn't have to. And once again, people ain't keeping it real there either, right? Angela had a certain amount of pivoting prowess, privilege that she could use that Cedric just didn't have this week, especially considering, once again, Cedric is trying to keep his numbers together so he's safe the following week by doing what the numbers want, whereas Angela went against the numbers in the process of trying to get them all to surround and drown Matt. That's important to break down that dichotomy as well, all right? Oh, Sigma says he voted for Quinn heavily. He said that cornball gotta go. I love to hear it, coach. The Stones are empowered by these words. Trouble Curl says, I had to. Everyone using the conventionally attractive argument. Aaron says they voted for Quinn as well. Zeroria says Applebee's really tried it, but what else is Applebee's gonna do? They all know that Quinn is such a crotch sniffer of a player. He did a shout out that Corey did a season ago when Corey did it towards his biological brother. What is Quinn doing the same shout out for? And once again, that brother was the first boot on Survivor. Why is he getting so many shout outs? Why do we entertain mediocrity when it comes from a specific archetype? But then people talk about Cam being bad at the game, and yet they act like that mediocrity is worth punishing. You know you just messed up, right? See, this is why the streets need me to go live more often. Because I will connect the dots and show y'all something ain't right now. Something ain't right. I'm going to let you connect the dots, though. I ain't going to go that deep with it. I ain't crashing out for the sake of making a point. All right? Hey, man, you get smarter the longer you in the game. You feel a dig me, coach? I'm that savvy veteran that give you 20 before I break a sweat. I'm Joe Johnson. I'm ISO. Sharon Collins says, do you think Quinn goes home on Thursday? I think it's very possible, Sharon, because Tucker is there to get it done. This is the one chance we'll ever have. The streets are suggesting, Jag, Potato Chip, Cody, they're going to show up on Tuesday and talk about the drama that's happened so far. First of all, I thought those recap episodes were preserved for the final week of the game. Now we're having it 3 weeks into the game, 3.5 weeks into the game. Okay, maybe I'll just need it to fill a time slot. Who knows? But in all seriousness, though, thank you for letting me know which episode to skip next week. I got to be honest with you. I got to be honest. But with that said, though, we ain't going to watch that episode because we don't really care. And those 3 players, with all due respect to Cody, they don't move the needle for me. They just don't. Especially if they're just talking about drama. What drama has Jag, Cody, and Potato Chip been in combined in their multiple seasons they've played? Cody's played twice, Taylor played once, Jag played once. So in the 4 seasons they played, what drama have they been in to break down drama? You see what I'm saying? They're the wrong people to bring in. You should have brought in Josh Martinez. I can't believe I'm saying that. You should have brought in someone known for it, though, and let them rate it. Bring in ED, bring in some of them crazy people. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. That's who y'all should have brought in, right? Not bringing in the players who were either victims of bad gameplay, victims of bullying to a degree, or just players that controlled an entire season and there was no real drama to speak of that they were included in. None of these entities are great for the role that you're trying to set them up for, and that's why I highly believe that no one's going to tune in. And that's not us hating on any of those 3. It's just me telling the truth. In my opinion, you should have chose different players for that. But that's just my take on that. But yeah, so I just think there's something fishy, though, about how you got all these alums. They're trying to influence the audience to vote a certain way. And that's why another reason why we need Quinn up, because we need to show these alums they don't matter. Your season's over, coach. Huh? Your influence is like a hot air balloon, coach. You can take it around the world until the next season of BBUS starts. Then it's time to come to Earth. It's time to come back down to the surface. All right? Y'all think y'all Silver Surfer or something. All right? I'm just keeping it real in these streets. All right? Now, Spivey says Cam doesn't really know the game like that, but yet today and yesterday, MJ, Tucker, and Leah wanted to create an alliance with Cam, which is good on Cam's part. Well, at the end of the day, let's just keep it real. Even Quinn admitted he was out for Cam. He wanted Cam out because he thought Cam was playing a better game than he actually is playing. Then when Quinn realized Cam's not playing as good as a game as he thought, he pivoted to going, okay, I'm willing to let Pentagon make jury. But there was a time there where he thought Cam was playing this sensational Monty game or Xavier Prather game where he just created a narrative in his head and he just thought I had to attack it. And I must state this again. Do y'all remember BB19? Who does Quinn look up to the most outside of, the dorks of yesteryear? He looks up to Paul Beta-Hamian. Do you remember what happened during Paul's returnee season? Do you remember how it was a player named Cody who was with Jessica, all right? Remember how Cody went rogue on a majority alliance to target Paul because he wanted him gone, and he thought everyone in the house would be smart enough to realize this guy needs to go, not only because he's the only returnee on the season, but because he's a massive threat who just made finale night the season before. You know what all those players did in the game? They chose to not back up Cody so he could be the easy target for Paul the week after. This community will clown Cody and say he was a bad player that season, but they'll be the same ones now acting as if Cedric is a bad player for not pulling a Cody. See, y'all not hearing me? Y'all not hearing me? This is the proof that these people move goalposts. And if they are moving goalposts, you can't take their opinion on the game seriously. They're too emotional. They're too emotional. Because, trust me, go to someone who thinks that Cedric had a bad HOH week and ask them their opinion on Cody's BB19 HOH week. You're going to see how quickly their energy shifts. You're going to see. And if y'all remember, that was the first season I ever covered. And who was I a fan of that season? Cody. Because I applauded him for taking a shot, and I thought the house was full of bad players at the time that didn't follow up on his shot. So don't blame Cedric for not taking the shot knowing he's surrounded by bad players. Be mad at the bad players. You see what I'm saying? Listen, I said this on Twitter. Tucker's move would have worked 10 out of 10 times on a season full of good players. It would have worked. But this season, it isn't filled with a lot of good players. I counted about 5 out of the 16 players on this cast are borderline floaters. And their social game is very below average when you think about the median of what good social gameplay looks like on Big Brother. So at the end of the day, if a third of your cast are socially awkward players, then that means the pacing of the social game is going to move slowly. That means the pacing of the socio-strategic game as a result is going to move slowly as well. And it explains to me why Cedric, who's aware of past seasons, ain't going to be as dumb as Cody was in that moment. But isn't it interesting how Cody won AFP despite that mistake? But no one's talking about Cedric should win AFP despite being a veteran still himself? Ooh. A lot of people said they voted for Cameron because he's a veteran, but I'm not hearing anyone talk like Cedric deserves AFP just for being a veteran. So are you seeing how that goalpost has moved as well? Cedric's given us the most entertaining week as an HOH we can ask for, and all people want to do is not give him credit for playing smart, but instead nitpick over what they wish he would have done to ruin his game. But no one's going to chime in on how, well, if we're keeping that same energy, he deserves AFP too. And if my patrons know, in my worst to first, I said this would happen. Now all of a sudden, people are okay with calling a Marine weak-minded. Now all of a sudden, people are comfortable calling a Marine soft. I want to see half of y'all jump into a Marine boot camp talking all this stuff. It's disrespectful to me, man. I got brothers who was in the armed forces, National Guard, Army. I don't play by stuff like that. But they don't say this stuff about veterans unless they look a certain way. And that's another reason why I need y'all to see what's really going on full display. That's deep. Think about what I'm saying here tonight, and you're going to realize I'm spitting some stuff that no one can see coming. Woo! We're cooking. We're cooking. Saturday says Quinn can stay. People simply dislike him. But why do we dislike him? We dislike him for the same reasons people claim they dislike Jared. It's just all of a sudden, now it's okay to be who you want to be in the house. It's funny how the minute a player plays that way and looks like Quinn, no one cares about canceling people again. But the minute that player plays any way they want and look like Cam, the narrative is he should be thrown in. I'm just trying to get y'all to see that this is toxic, and this is why I started this channel. My ability to get y'all to see how this is connected to that, while everyone else wants you to forget about this and only focus on that, will always be the skill set that separates me from the rest. Shout outs to you, WSFN. Voted 10 times for Quinn. You a real one, coach. Nobody in this chat support Quinn. I mean, I saw one person supporting him, to be fair, Spivey. That concerned me, coach, but luckily they few and far between. Shout outs to Isaiah. He asked a question. Coach, you know what's so crazy is that Tucker blew up possibly every My bad. He blew up possibly ever working with Cedric again because if Quinn hits the block, it was all for nothing. That's another point. He could have waited, but that goes to show you he was truly rattled because he never would have thought Cedric, a young mind, would be smart enough to not be manipulated by him. See, Tucker saw a guy he thought he could control. This is why he also was working with Kenny. He knows Kenny has no one after Matt left. So he saw that dynamic of that 3 and said, oh, I can weaponize this 3. I got Rubina on the side over here. I'm a volunteer on the block to keep Rubina off of it. But then after the fact, he creates the narrative, oh, Cedric was a scared HOH and he really needed someone to go on the block, so I volunteered. No, you volunteered because you didn't want Rubina to have to start playing the game harder. When truth be told, your game would be in a lot better position if you would stop simping. But once again, all people want to talk about is Cam simping for Leah. They don't want to talk about how Tucker has managed to compromise the game of Rubina, somewhat compromise the game of Kimo. Both of them are willing to crash out for Tucker in ways I've never seen people willing to crash out for a brother when he plays badly. All of this is very revealing and telling. But with that said, do I have a personal problem with Tucker though? No, because I still see his value to the overall entertainment. This is why you're not going to see me act like Tucker needs to go. But I will tell the truth about the mistakes Tucker made. And that's the difference. Chris says he just dropped 20 votes on Quinn. Come on, coach. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep these votes coming. Huh? Cesar Garcia says, feels so good to be back. What's up, coach? Epic Rants. Hey, man, I'm glad to have you back, coach. You feel it, dig me? Cesar definitely been around from the beginning times. Trouble asks question, coach, if Quinn survives and ends up using his power, wins HOH, do you trust him enough to stick to the collective and not go rogue? Yes, because during tonight's episode, Quinn confirmed that Tucker is the target next week. The plan for the collective is to take out Kenny this week. If Tucker wins AI, take out Tucker next week. But in my opinion, the smarter play for the collective, this is not what I'm rooting for as a fan of feeds. I'm trying to separate those two things so y'all can see both sides of it. The fan of fun feeds wants Tucker to stay. The fan who understands good gameplay understands if the collective change their mind before tomorrow night and vote out Tucker if he doesn't win AI Arena. I understand. And it would not be bad gameplay. It just wouldn't be. But this goes back to why I said in my last public rant, the smarter move for every guy is to just guarantee a girl goes instead. But that's exactly why using the veto on Angela was just to me, it was just a dumb move. Across the board, it was a dumb move. But to be fair, Kenny, you were prepared to do the same thing, so that was just as dumb, right? But that's my point. If Cedric sees y'all playing that dumb, he can't be dumb with y'all, man. What is this? But it's as if the world believed the black man should just be dumb because everybody else is choosing to be. No. Cedric can't afford to be dumb. Remember, he's representing the Marines too now. He got to make sure they look a certain way. And so far, Cedric has done a fantastic job of showcasing Marines can play this game too. So that's how I'm choosing to look at it. I don't know about you. Spivey asked a question. Coach, do you think the votes will be there to get Quinn out versus Tucker if Kenny wins AI Arena? See, that's the part, I think if Kenny somehow pulls it off, I think Tucker's cooked. Now, the reason why I say that is because Tucker, what he showed in the blow up with Cedric, he showed a certain level of, he lacked decorum, he lacked proper game etiquette. And yeah, you can say, oh, it was entertaining. I agree with that wholeheartedly, but his entire energy was just bad. First of all, when you're in the meeting with everybody, you don't bring up the fact that, oh, Cedric's a liar. Oh, Cedric never warned me to use my veto on myself, because he needed time to think about what to say. Understand that. Now he's creating some argument. Oh, there was a machine above my head. That's why I ain't been getting sleep. I'm going to start getting sleep now. Oh, I got earplugs now. I'm going to win every comp now because I got earplugs now. All right, sure thing, buddy. We'll see about that. All right, whatever. First thing you got to do is win AI Arena. You know, don't put the cart before the horse here, coach. But in all seriousness, though, like, I saw the way he was acting in that house meeting. He had so much lemon booty. The way he was just kissing kneecaps when it came to Quinn. Oh, I'm only saying this. I only tried to do this because you're such a good player, bro. It's the greatest compliment I can give you as a human being, bro. I thought this was Josh Martinez for a second, boy. I was like, where that energy at, Tucker? You ain't gonna expose the twist and keep it pushing? Like he said he was gonna do on Thursday night? No. See, he's too flustered now because MJ got her twist burned. But that's what Tucker wanted. So once again, what is he mad about? How can you call me scared when I did your initial plan? Because remember, Tucker's initial plan that he offered, you need to burn MJ's twist. Cedric finds a way to burn that twist. Tucker can still hit the block. Quinn can still hit the block. And Tucker's like, Cedric scared? Bro, Cedric did in 1 week what Chelsie was too scared to do. If there's anybody you can say is scared, it's not Cedric he wants the smoke. Huh? What you're mad about is the idea that he got you caught in the carbon monoxide crossfire. That's what you're mad at. But once again, you should have put a gas mask on. And he tried to warn you that you needed one. Huh? This is like that video game Helldivers. He tried to hook you up. But you decided to run on to that station by yourself and you got stumped out by aliens. That's not on Cedric's fault. Cedric's job is to have you back. But if you believe you don't need anyone to have you back, all right, bro, knock yourself out. But once again, people act like it's Cedric's job to crash out for Tucker. I'm just keeping it real, bro. Listen. That's not Cedric's job. If Tucker was in any way closer to Cedric before this week, y'all would have a perfectly good argument. But the fact that Tucker didn't know Cedric from a can of paint before this week, and now all of a sudden Cedric should just play Tucker's game, I'm sorry, that is bad gameplay, and anyone telling you otherwise don't get the game. Saturday says she dislikes how Tucker spoke to Cedric. You're right, he disrespected him as a man, but once again, this is why I applauded how Matt handled the Angela thing, right? Because it's really easy when someone's trying to drag you down into where they are, which is a bad position. It's really easy to match their energy, and now both of y'all have shown what you can become, and now you can never take that back the rest of the season. By Cedric keeping his wits about him, staying calm, trying to diffuse the situation, still speaking of Tucker in a good light, even if Tucker was disrespectful, that once again is great gameplay. And what's interesting to me is the same fans that are so sensitive from season to season over how this lady's treated or that lady's treated, they're the ones now trying to chime in on a Marine being weak-minded or soft. Please give your head a wobble. Because if this had been a woman in Cedric's position, y'all would be throwing a fit. Now all of a sudden it's okay to label a Marine any way you want to. But this will be the same community saying, y'all couldn't handle back in the day when feeds was really good. Y'all couldn't handle the way feeds were back in the day. I gotta ask the question, were you watching feeds back in the day? Because you don't even understand good gameplay. But once again, I don't know. People try to gaslight you to believe and you don't understand the game if you don't go with their narratives. Nah, coach, that's not how it's gonna work tonight. All right. Hey, man, I'm cooking tonight, man. Chris says Quinn is a fanboy. Sigma says too many folks trying to manipulate. Edmund says Quinn is a bogus dude. Oh, the streets ain't rocking with you, dog. The city don't love you like you think they do. Michelle says, she asked the question, do you think if Quinn gets nominated, do you think Kenny and Cedric can mend their relationship as a team? Actually, Kenny and Cedric, their relationship is mended. Their relationship is not on any bad footing. Remember, Kenny was the one saying he can't wait to go home. Kenny cannot appear in any way disgruntled with any of Cedric's decisions because he volunteered to go on the block. All Kenny can do is be disgruntled, which he is, with Tucker for not taking him off the block if Tucker expected these brothers to trust that four men's alliance. See, this was Kenny's brainchild, that whole shake it up thing, which led to the ball players. That was all Kenny's brainchild. Tucker squandered Kenny's only chance of maybe making jury by choosing to use veto on Angela. But once again, no one's going to say that to y'all. So if you're a fan of Kenny, don't be mad at Cedric this week. Understand, Tucker could have used that veto on Kenny himself, and Kenny would be here. Tucker was scared, though, that he couldn't stay over Angela or Quinn. That's why he knew no matter what, he would always stay over Kenny. And what kind of ally keeps an ally on the block because they know they'll stay over them? That don't sound like an ally to me. That sounds like an op in disguise. But you got to understand, Tucker always thought no matter what, Kenny would always be on his side because of the Boston thing. But that also tells me Kenny's a man of integrity, just like Cedric is. And if there's one thing you'll never get Kenny to do, is dislike another man from the armed forces, from the military. There is a respect those men have for each other that you'll never be able to penetrate. You'll just never be able to, because you'll never be able to relate to what they had to go through. You know, when Kenny said he had to leave the Air Force because his father got sick, that's some real stuff, man. And he only told that to Ceddy. So you just got to understand, man. And also, Cedric is the one who knows for a fact that Kenny is a cop. Everyone else is just kind of speculating on that topic. But Cedric will never tell on Kenny. Doesn't behoove him to. And once again, he's got a lot of respect for that man. You know? The type of respect we all thought Tucker had for him. But go figure. Orange Juice says, I'm cooking tonight. I know. I chose a completely different angle with this. Because I want people to know heading into the vote tonight that we have a real responsibility here as fans to humble someone who needs to be humbled. And all of the platforms that are trying to coddle this guy when he is a spoiled brat in that house, they can be humbled by this vote too. And that's another incentive, another motivating factor as to why y'all should do it. Let these people know they don't have the pulse on the streets, on the culture like they think they do. All that grifting y'all do, that don't really lead to people really trusting you when things hit the fan. I have yet to see any real activism outside of just talking, you know? When it's convenient, I mean. I remember during the Stone Age, these entities didn't speak up for nobody. Chris says, let Coach cook. Juan Budget says, facts. A Marine right here. Salutes to you, Juan. We got 300 in a live chat. Please, ladies and gentlemen, every one of you, please smash that like button. Show your support for the armed forces, for Team USA in the Olympics. Show your support for voting for Quinn. Show your support for Fun Feeds. Show your support for Cedric, who gave us a fun week. Show your support for Tucker, who has the ability, because we have a strong competitor down there. This might be the one opportunity all season we got to get Quinn up out of here. This might be the only time. This might be the golden apple. But the fact that Cedric didn't throw his game away for the sake of chasing that wild goose is what makes Cedric look like such a great player to me. He wasn't thirsty for the move like Quinn was thirsty to use his twist against him. Cedric was more measured with his approach. Cedric showed maturity wise beyond his years. And this is the narrative they don't want you to really go home with. The narrative that Cedric tried to get caught in they tried to hit him with the okey doke, catch him with the catch-22, huh? They tried to give him in a dulo twist. And our boy Cedric said, nah, I'm stiff arming that ish. And now, because Cedric is nice, so fresh and so clean, now they mad at our boy. But at the end of the day, he ain't the one that'll be an outcast by tomorrow. You feel it? There we go. We're cooking. But ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts. Please do not forget to vote for Quinn tonight. Please don't forget to smash that like button tonight. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're on our road to 20K. I will be back tomorrow night for another live stream. So I will be getting your thoughts over an epic AI arena, no matter how or who gets voted in and how it goes down. We know tomorrow night's going to be good. And we do know another HOH is sure to be crowned. And I think we're overdue for a physical HOH coming up now. The question is, will production give us it now? The question is, if Quinn survives this week, is he now guaranteed to use his twist if he doesn't win HOH? Or does he not use his twist at all, knowing everyone knows he has the twist, and instead chooses not to have the blood on his hands because another member of the collective win HOH anyway, and he just decides to put it in his pocket? What's the point? I think it's very likely now, because he's been so outed on such a public platform now, I really do believe the likelihood that Quinn doesn't use his twist, unless a Kenny or Tucker win HOH, is high. But I do think if there's a scenario where someone outside of the collective wins HOH, he will for sure use it to guarantee MJ, Tucker, or Kenny goes home next week, depending on how AI Arena goes. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have enjoyed the rant tonight. This was, of course, let the chips fall. And please, everyone in the Stone Age supporting old media, please just let the chips fall where they may. Stop trying to manipulate people's emotions. Stop trying to lie to them about, oh, this player had a bad HOH week. When the truth is, we all know if Cedric would have played like Cody from 19, y'all would have roasted him for it. Y'all would have given Tucker all the credit. But now, because Cedric didn't put himself in the position of being Tucker's henchman, and instead put him in the position of having a good chance of making jury, now people want to just call the man scared. But the truth is, the early game is about making jury, and I thought some of y'all would have remembered that. Seems like you're letting your own biases get in the way. Ironic, because I'm the one with the recency bias here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all tomorrow night for another one. Until next time. Cedric, you did the right thing. And to give you all a top 5 power ranking on my way out, let me not forget, I owe that to y'all. Y'all the fam. You know, I got to look out for y'all. Top 5 power ranking are as follows. Number 1 is Brooklyn. Number 2, Chelsie has worked her way back in the top 5. A lot of sisters are going to be happy about that ranking because they know I was on her head top for a while. I ain't mad at you no more. Well, I still find some of the stuff you're doing grinding gears worthy. But for now, because this vote is around, we're going to address our problems at a later time. Joseph, 3rd place, in my opinion. Now he knows about the Pentagon's existence due to Quinn. Quinn used that as a price of entry to get Joseph to trust him again because he knows he lied straight to Joseph and Cedric's face. I think this was the night before the veto ceremony, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that scenario. Oh, that could have been 2 nights before the veto ceremony. That could have been Saturday night, to be honest with you. 4th place, I'm going Cedric here. For a guy who had such a messy HOH week, he positioned himself with the majority of the House to be loyal. Not only that, he made Tucker look like an Omega level threat when Tucker this entire time looked like a social butterfly. Now Tucker looks like someone very confrontational, very loose cannon-ish. In my opinion, Cedric did a great job of making himself not a target of Quinn's twist and instead positioning Tucker as the target of the twist. But once again, if Quinn somehow gets voted in and Tucker does take him out, I still see that as a W in the long run because we know Quinn was never loyal to Pentagon. If Tucker takes out Quinn, this allows the 4 remaining members of Pentagon to bring in another player to replace Quinn with, which could make the game better because now they can actually trust the 5 that they are in, right? So all those things considered, ladies and gentlemen, I just think that makes perfect sense. And for 5th place, I'm going Kimo. He's responsible for this drama because he played the telephone game, which ended up being where it was by the end of this week. And I just feel like right now, he clearly is playing a game in which he will not be targeted relatively soon by anyone. Seems like all of the women want to take out MJ and Leah before they ever come from Rubina because they don't want to risk losing T-Kor and Kimo to the other side at some point in the mid-game. All those things considered tells me Kimo's in a great position. And T-Kor, you need to start realizing your pivoting prowess ASAP. And honestly, I think the best thing for T-Kor's game, who has lost some trust in Quinn, is for Quinn to be taken out by Tucker this week because if that were to happen, now T-Kor is the one the 4 can just bring into the 5. But that's what T-Kor should be rooting for, but it feels like she prefers the scenario where Kenny goes, then Tucker the week after. I'm Dave Smith for ReCYS Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, and those are my thoughts heading into tomorrow night. Thank you so much for watching. Please, once again, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe and help me reach 20K before you know it. Until next time. What a week. Cedric, you did.